Cool. What's a seller's concession?
When the seller agrees to let the buyer finance their closing costs. I can't give you the...
That's a really good start, by the way.
I got it.
This guy's next, and then we're going to come to you. All right? Finish up.
Buyer's financing their closing costs. Seller agrees to sell the house for, if it's $550, if they're financing $10,000 closing costs, the purchase price is $550, but the closing price
It was $550 or $515? Did you say $550? 550. So if the house is $500,000 and I'm financing $15,000 of my closing costs, the house has to appraise for $550?
No, I said 515.
So I don't want to make sure. $515. Okay, good. Okay. That's a pretty damn good explanation right out of the gate. What were you going to say?
I'm short and sweet. I say a give back.
Okay. I want to...
Give back, short and sweet.
Okay, if you're doing a lot of sales and you're great, because personality and attitude is all about that. The sellers don't want to feel like they're giving up something. So if you're explaining it and they're good with that, I'm good with that. I never modify anything that somebody's saying, but I like that. It's a great start. Hi.
Hi. So, buyer is buying a house. The house is listed for $350, putting it on for $343 with a concession of $7,000 money back. The loan is for $350. The appraisal has to be for $350. They get the $7,000 at closing either for repairs on the house or for closing fees.
All right, so let's back up for a second. How much was the original price of the house for sale?
The original price, it was listed for $350.
$350. So you said instead of $350, we'll sell it for $350, but we're gonna make it $343.
So the offer came in at $343 and it was accepted at $343.
Okay, so that's the opposite way to say it. So are a lot of sellers upset about sellers' concessions? They think they're giving up money, don't they?
Just tell them the net thing.
So what would you say to them, Doug?
I'd say, all right, the house is $350. You're going to net $343, but we're rolling the closing costs into the price of the house.
But I want $350 for my house.
That's not the guy you want.
What I would do in that situation is put the closing costs on top. So if the buyer needs about $10,000, I would offer $350, but then I would tell the buyer, if you need closing costs, put the closing costs on top.
If the house is for sale for $350, do not make the contract for $350. I'll teach you. But it won't even be I'll show you exactly what to do. Don't worry, you don't have. Yes, back here. Who has that? Yes.
I say it's all about pre-framing your client ahead of time.
Correct.
They are
Yes.
ready for it.
Yes.
What happens, and you can explain to them, this is the market, we can expect this is the type of client, and they might be doing so as this, but you're still going to get the same profit at that.
See, that's the key word right there. So, what's your first name?
Janet.
Janet? Yes. Hi, Janet. So, Janet, you want to sell your house for $500,000. You'd like to get that? Okay. I did a CMA. It looks like $500,000 is a fair value. Do you think it's better if more people are able to look at your house and make bids, or less people? More people, right? So do you know anything about a seller's concession? Yeah, you don't like them? I'm making it, I'm leading you along. Most people don't like seller's concession. I don't like that term because it's like a give back. Well, you know, we could have more people look at your house, more people can afford to buy your house if some of them have a seller's concession. Not all of them need a seller's concession, some of them do it because they want, but here's how it works. Let's say that, first name? Patricia wants to buy your house and she needs some help with closing costs. 3%. So your house would have to appraise for $515,000, which might happen. You're still going to net your $500,000, but Patricia's going to get her $15,000 in a seller's concession back to her so she can pay her closing costs. Does that sound like a good deal? Are you happy you're still getting your $500,000? Does it matter to you that she borrowed her money from the bank? It doesn't matter, right? So you're still netting the same amount of money. That's all a seller's concession is. But what I want to know when I'm talking to Patricia is, Patricia, how much money do you have available for closing? If she needs $100,000 to close this house, if she needed it, I'm making it up, and she only had $70,000, and we needed the extra $25,000 in seller's concession, and it didn't come through, that deal's going to be dead. So I want to know ahead of time, if the appraisal comes in short, does she have enough money to make up that difference? If she does and she's willing to do that, then it's a really great deal. Yes?
So what is the maximum percentage?
So some loans can go up to 6%. Most we do 3 and 4%. Now, here's what you want to do. I also want to know this. If your house is in a market where the homes are 300,000 to 500,000 and you're at the top of the market, it's much harder to get that extra 3% in there. But if your house is 400,000 in the 300 to 500,000 range, it's much easier to get the appraiser to go to 412. Because the appraisers know you're going to live in that house for a while. The bank is okay with lending you the closing costs. Property value may go up over time. It's not guaranteed, but the bank knows that, and everybody wins. Is that pretty good? It's different than it's not a seller's concession, seller's credit. Have you guys ever done loans with seller's credits? That's where the seller is crediting back some of the money to the buyer. Yes?
I have a question. So the seller's concession basically started out where? How did that come about in the rules that somebody can do that?
That's a question I don't know the answer to, but I do know this. There are two types of people that take out seller's concessions. One is they need that help. Fair enough? Another type is, well, let's see. Let's say, I'm going to pick on a couple of people here. Everybody's looking away. They're all scared. Don't be scared. Okay, let's see. Okay, you guys in the back, you're a couple. I'm just guessing. Because you're not talking to each other, you're sitting next to each other. You must be, no, I'm kidding. All right, so you guys are married. Now, when you move into, by the way, you guys are looking for a house to buy together. What's your name, sir?
Jack.
Jack, what house are you going to wind up buying? The one that she tells you she wants. So we all know that, right? And what's your first name? Rose. So Jack and Rose. So you're looking to buy a house. Now, when you move into the house, are there things that you want to do in that house? What do you want to do? You want to update the kitchen. You want to maybe buy furniture. You know, I know, Jack. You want that 108 big screen TV for the man cave and everything like that. But you know, you got to buy cribs for the kids. You know, so you should do that, right? So, but you're going to have closing costs. You're going to have all that stuff. Are you with me? Now, you guys are pretty sophisticated. You got a couple $100,000 to use as a down payment. But I'm going to say to you guys, you know, you make a lot of money. Why not do this and only put down 10%, and 2 years from now you can get your PMI dropped off or whatever, but you're going to save an extra $60,000 in the bank. Liquid cash, is that good? So you could use some of your for your down payment. But if you don't want to do that, because your closing costs are going to be $25,000, we could do a seller's concession on this house, and you could borrow that $25,000 and keep $25,000 in the bank. Is that good? So there are people that will do that just to keep liquid money in the bank. So we'll ask the borrowers what they're looking to do. It's really a good thing if they don't have to use every dime in the bank.
Doug,
Yes.
quick question. What's the difference between seller credit and seller concession?
So a seller's concession, which I wish they would change the wording, is the seller is conceding back money from that sale. But they're not losing anything. So if I'm selling my house for $500,000 and you want to get a seller's concession for 3%, my house now has to appraise for $515,000. But I wanted $500,000 for my house. I'm good with that. So I don't care that it appraise for $515,000. The bank will make me a loan based off of the $515,000, make you the borrower. So you're basically borrowing your closing costs. That's a seller's concession. A seller's credit is, I'm selling my house for $500,000. There's a $20,000 foundation crack that has to be fixed. You can make your house $480,000, or you could keep it $500,000 and credit back to me closing $20,000. That's a credit, seller's credit. You're still getting $480,000. It's a seller's credit separate. Yes?
So instead of taking a seller's concession, can we just do a jumbo loan that if the buyer is willing to pay extra percentage, so we can eliminate bothering with the seller doing all the paperwork to lower the amount?
So how are we going to make the loan a jumbo loan or a larger loan when we're only lending a percentage of the value of the house or the contract price, whichever is less? How do we make the loan larger? That means they're going to put down no money?
If they want to put down very little,
So if they want to put down very little,
less
so
than 10%.
So let's say you and your husband want to buy a house. It's worth $500,000, right? You'd like to put down no money on that house?
Maybe 5%.
Oh, 5%, so that's 25 grand. Okay? Now, 25 grand, that's the down payment. Are there closing costs?
Let's say,
15,000.
yeah, like let's say 20.
Do you want to also take $15,000 out of the bank? No.
No, the 15,000 I want to use the loan to cover it. So I want to have the loan to cover my.
So I'm going to do that for you, but how are you going to get that loan? We have to do a seller's concession, make the appraisal higher so you can borrow that money out of the loan. We'll make your loan higher, but we can't just say, hey, we're lending you more money. We have to make the appraisal higher to give you that money on the back end. Fair enough? A lot of questions here.
What happens now, so the house, if you do a seller's concession, so it was 100, now it's 100, 8,000, 9,000, higher to get that money back to the seller, so he gets his 100. Now it shows up as a sale for 109,000.
Okay.
So that skews the market. The question-
Tiny bit.
Wait, so, no, in this case, it's a small amount.
Yeah.
But let's say it's a much larger amount of money. Does the bank look at, what, do they look at the actual sale price?
The appraisers know from the get-go that a seller's concession has been offered in there. How many people here have done loans where,
You know, but how does the bank know, or the appraiser later on, doing the appraisal?
we are the ones who put the seller's concession in there for the borrower. It's in the paperwork. Look,
I know, but when an appraiser does it, do you know that?
yes, I'm trying to explain what it is. I'm going to explain how the routine works here so you'll know. So, when's the best time to add a seller's concession into the loan? On the offer. Don't do it afterwards, because afterwards it kills you. Okay? So, you make the offer with the seller's concession in it. Because if you try to back it in later, it makes a big deal. Now, when we have that contract, the contract goes to the appraiser. The appraiser knows that it's an arm's length transaction, it's got a seller's concession and everything like that. So they know ahead of time what to do.
Talking about after the fact, other properties in that neighborhood now, the price of that property is 109, not 100.
The appraisers know that that house sold with a seller's concession. It does not affect the market price. The appraisers know this is their job. Sure, they know that.
Also,
Yes.
close it on the MLS.
Correct. Yes.
So the sales price on the agreement of sale would be high.
Including the seller's concession, and it'll say in there, seller's concession of 3% or whatever it
In
is.
the case that say that it was 100,000 net to the seller, and that's what it was listed for.
Correct, except there's only one thing that you can't say in that contract, and that's what? Net, no net
Yes.
listings.
Otherwise, okay, but again, okay, so this price is 100.
Right?
And then the buyer has offered now the 100 that will eventually go to the.
They make an offer for $103,000. They got a 3% seller's concession in there. The loan closes for the $103,000. We lend them a percentage. Part of that is the $3,000 for closing costs. Now they have a loan for whatever amount that's going to be, not the whole $103,000 because they're not borrowing 100%. But their closing costs now are financed. You don't care because you still got your $100,000.
And no issue with the fact that the agreement of sale is higher than this.
No, there's zero issue if you put it in from the beginning. Fair enough? Yes, question.
Yes, does a buyer have to put in that they're using the concession?
Yes, a seller has to put in a seller's concession.
In a pre-approval,
What's that?
in a pre-approval.
No, look, a lot of people do it without putting it in there. The pre-approval usually does not have it in there, but the offer should have it in there.
Okay, well, whatever, if I'm in a market that does not accept.
That does not accept seller's concession? Wait, hold, time out, guys. What market are you in that does not accept seller's concession?
Central Westchester.
And why do they not accept? By the way, I do a lot of training for Keller Williams up there and all that stuff.
We have a lot of high school math and basically,
So your people don't need seller's concession.
right, but somebody was, the husband was as a buyer and said, well, they had it in their pre-approval. And I was approval, and I said, it's not valid.
No, the pre-approval wouldn't matter, because the pre-approval, we're approving you for the maximum amount that you could borrow. Period. But, things that you know are not the same throughout the whole state of New York. How many people here are from upstate? You guys do binders? Do you do binders? Downstate does not do binders, upstate does. But you guys are all licensed under the same licensing, is that true? We're all licensed under the Department of State, New York State, Division of Licensing. So we have to know all of this different stuff, even though it's different in different areas. All right? So, let's go to the credit report. Turn to the last page. There is no yawning in my class. Is any yawning going on? Because we got, is it a little warm in here? I know it's cold. Cold, it's warm. Oh, sorry I asked. Holy cow.